Welcome to the Superhuman Selling Podcast. We are talking today about one of my favorite tools to grow your business, to amplify your message, and something that has truly changed the trajectory of my business, which is public speaking. And here is what I will say. I was a woman who used to be very, very afraid of that, did not think it was something I wanted to do, really admired people who did it, but never saw myself as being someone who I thought would be great at it. And today it is probably my very favorite way to connect with people, to grow my business, and to share my message. So whether it's a podcast, whether it's a panel, whether it's a keynote stage, when you say yes to visibility, you are saying yes to your next level. It's really fun to record this today because it was 2 weeks ago from recording this episode. I was speaking at a conference for a group called Women in Financial Services, and it was the second year I'd been there. I keynoted their event last year, and then this year came in and gave a talk for their group again. And there's something that is so powerful about being in person with people speaking. Now, again, to be a public speaker, you don't have to necessarily be speaking in person. It can be a virtual stage, it can be a podcast, it can be your own podcast, right? There's so many different ways to have stages today. But if being in person with groups speaking is something that is speaking to you, um, and or if it's something you're already doing, but you want to amplify it and you feel called to amplify it, I want you to really listen in to this episode. I was having some fun looking back at this past year in my business, and this is not my keynote fee. This is on the back end of talks I had given for certain groups. Literally millions of dollars made and sold from just being in person with a few key audiences. And there's so much opportunity when it comes to speaking for you. So I want you to pay attention to that call. I want you to pay attention to the opportunity and to the desire there. You've probably heard me say, if you've listened to the show before, your desires are green lights. And so whether you're already crushing it on stages and you want to go further, or whether it's something that's calling to you, but you've never done it before, you are meant to do it if it is speaking to you. All right. And so if you've ever felt that nudge to share your voice in a greater way, today's episode is let it be your sign that it's true and that it's available to you. All right. So I'll take you back a little bit to the first time I spoke publicly, just to give some context for we all start somewhere. And again, I'm a woman now who has made millions from speaking. I have a keynote fee in the multiple five figures to come in and speak for a group or an organization. And, and that is not how I started. So when I was first starting as a coach, this was 2015, so about 10 years ago, when I had left my corporate job and I knew that I wanted to be a successful coach, a speaker, a trainer, an author. But I had one client who had paid me $300 to review a sales presentation for him. And that was the only money I had made in my business. But I had a desire, I had a passion, I had a burning desire to be successful and to do this. And I had that knowing within me that I could. I started partnering within a company where part of how we sold our coaching services was by going out and speaking for sales teams and sales organizations. And we spoke for free. And it was a sales presentation. So I learned this, oh my gosh, how long was it? It's like a 45-minute or hour-long presentation. I memorized it ahead of time to be able to go in and deliver for sales teams. And then my job was to cold call a bunch of different sales leaders and managers to see if I could come in and speak at their sales training. And some of these sales trainings were like regular weekly sales team meetings that they had in person. Some of them were bigger sales conferences, but I essentially would call and say, hey, do you have a sales meeting coming up? I want to actually offer the opportunity to speak for free. And then on the back end of that speaking event, we would sell our coaching services. So Anyway, when I first started this, again, no clients, no experience, but a burning desire and a burning passion that I knew I wanted to be successful and I needed to be successful because I had about 6 months of savings and I had bills to pay on the back end of leaving my corporate job. So cold call for weeks, trying to like crack through and break through to one manager who would let me in to come speak for their team. And, no one is returning my calls. I'm getting a lot of no's. I'm getting hung up on, the classic thing that happens for anyone who's done a lot of cold calling in their day, which I certainly have. And finally, I can't remember how many times I followed up with this gentleman, but if he is listening, I will give him a shout out, Van Davenport, who ran an insurance agency in North Carolina, gave me the opportunity to come speak for his sales team meeting. And I will forever be grateful to this man because I don't know if he could tell that I had never done it before. He probably could, but this man gave me an opportunity. And I think that that's also the sign of a great leader is someone who sees potential in others and gives them opportunities. And I think that maybe he had some compassion and some heart for the fact that I was persistent in my follow up and he wanted his team to be able to do the same. And so anyway, God bless this man, but he invited me to come in and speak for his sales team meeting, which was at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, a couple of hours away from my home. I was living in North Carolina at the time. And so I felt like I had just got invited to come speak on Oprah. Like this was this was a big deal. And there was a lot of prep involved. And I remember being so nervous, like the weekend leading up to it. I think it was the day before. And I was practicing my talk and practicing my workshop with he was I don't think we were engaged yet at the time, my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, Jason, and we were at home and I was just practicing and I was like, "I need you to listen. I need to really do this and make sure I can do this well." And so in the kitchen, late night on a Saturday practicing with him and still feeling so nervous about the whole thing. And the next day, we headed out Sunday evening to make the drive to this Mexican restaurant where the team was meeting for their sales team meeting. And so, I was thinking it was gonna be more people than it was, and it was totally fine, but I think there ended up being, like, 3 reps who showed up, and then Van was there as well, which was so lovely. But my very first public speaking event was at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night in the back of the Mexican restaurant for free. And so I wanna share that with you because sometimes you can see someone on a stage or you might look at my Instagram and see pictures of me speaking or doing the things, and that was how it started, and it started with a lot of grit and a lot of, I don't use the word hustle a lot because I don't believe in that energy. I used to think we had to hustle for results. I don't believe that. I believe a lot more of it is your identity and your subconscious, but it was hustle. Like mama was hustling back then to make it happen. So a lot of grit, a lot of determination, a lot of being willing to take whatever opportunities came my way to just get my foot in the door and get practice. And so, yeah, so I gave my workshop at 8 o'clock on this Sunday night. It's dark out. I think people were probably there for the free food way more than they were for me. But I gave my talk, I gave my offer for sales coaching on the back end, and what do you know? I think that 3 out of 4 of the people actually bought sales coaching for me, which was remarkable to me. No, I remember I stayed until 11 o'clock at night closing some deals that night. And so it was a long night, and Jason and I, he was waiting nearby. I think he worked at, like, a Burger King that night. He was just on his computer studying or working, and then I texted him. He was texting me, and I wasn't checking my phone, obviously, so just in it. I was closing people, I was talking to them. And I get done at 11 o'clock at night, and he's blowing up my phone like, "Where are you? I'm ready to go home." So he comes and he picks me up, and we go to I think there was a Waffle House open that night. I was starving because I hadn't eaten dinner. He takes me to Waffle House, and we headed home, and, we got home past midnight that night. But I share all of that to give you just a little bit of a peek behind the curtains of how a speaking career can start. And it can start a lot of different ways, but it's not it's not glamorous always. And there is a lot of like, let me speak where I can. Let me take the opportunities that come my way. But I always held that vision in my mind and that knowing, even with how nervous I was, even with how I doubted myself at times, even with how in my head I got about, are people receiving this? Is this interesting? Is it of service to people? I followed that knowing that I was meant to be on stages. I was meant to speak. I was meant to share my message. And certainly it has grown and evolved and transformed from there. And I have the privilege and the opportunity now to keynote and speak around the world and to have it be something that I really love and enjoy doing and where I feel like I can really impact people. And I'm less nervous now on a stage of hundreds or thousands than someone that I was back then for that group of 4 people, but it's 10 years in the making, and so I share all of that because I want you to know what it really looks like behind the scenes. Now, simultaneously, when I was launching my coaching business, I created my own stage, and I think that this is really important. If you are looking for more opportunities, like, yes, pitch the stages, and we'll talk a little bit on this show about what that can look like. Go to other people's platforms and stages, pitch yourself for podcasts, and simultaneously everyone today has the opportunity to create your own stage, whether that's your podcast, whether that's hosting a local event. That's something that I did when I was first starting my sales coaching business. I started a local event. I was in the Triangle area of North Carolina. We called it Triangle Sales Think Tank, and it was myself and 2 of my dear friends who co-hosted it with me, and we held a monthly sales meetup, and we would invite in other speakers and trainers, and it was free, but it was sponsored by my company and then sponsored by their companies as well, so we would give the opportunity to come in and talk about what we were doing, but that was one of my first stages too. I also, I started a podcast, and then I joined up a podcast with 2 other leaders in my space who graciously gave me the opportunity to come in and speak. Greg hired Martin Brosman, and Greg has passed since then, but I'm very grateful to those 2 gentlemen, and if you wanna go way back and hear Elyse on one of her first podcast episodes, you can listen to Linking into Sales and hear me there, and you'll hear the difference. It's been 10 years of practice, and really, really kind of finding my groove and my way. But you can create your own stage and make your own platform. And everyone today, Jay Baer talks about this. You have to think about yourself as you are a media company. So you are whatever you do, whether you're a financial advisor, whether you're a consultant, a trainer, a B2B account executive, you are also a media company. And one of the best ways to attract opportunities and clients is to create your own platform and your own stage, whether that's a LinkedIn live series, an Instagram live series. I remember at the start of my current brand, She Sells, I did a daily live stream for a couple, oh my gosh, how long was it? It was months. And I ended up reducing the frequency of it because it took a lot. It did take a lot of energy, and I had a little baby at the time, but for a while I did it, and that really generated a lot of leads and a lot of momentum, and I'm a woman who I don't really wanna wait for anyone to offer me an opportunity. I wanna create my own opportunities. So think about where can you create your own opportunities and be visible. So, we're going to talk a little bit more before I wrap this episode about how to start speaking now. But I want to share a couple of key points here. Number one, you need to stop waiting to be ready. This is so important. So, if you think you need to be at a certain level, if you think you need to have a certain number of followers, if you think you need to have someone reach out to you or have had a paid keynote already to be a speaker, no. Everyone starts somewhere. That's part of why I wanted to share with you my origin story of the Mexican restaurant and share a little bit behind the scenes there. Do not wait to be ready. You must choose to be visible now. All right. Now, speaking will stretch you. it activates a higher version of you as well, because you have to become the woman or the man who owns your truth publicly. All right. And the other thing I would say too is taking every opportunity you can to be visible, to be seen. Brendan Burchard talks about this. He says, never underestimate the power of one. So whether you're doing a live stream and there's one person who's listening, or you're doing a social media post and one person likes it, bless that person. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you being here. More, please. That's the energy. If you criticize, even energetically, if you feel like, oh, there's not enough, if you're like, oh, well, I'm on this podcast, but I really want to be on such and such podcast now, you're not going to grow in that way. I'm going to weave in some quantum physics for you, the observer effect in quantum physics. If we're looking at something through a perspective of lack or scarcity, whether it's our money, our followers, our stages, our opportunities, we're going to get more of that. So I want you to look at whatever opportunities are in front of you, whether it's, hey, I can post on social media for free and that's a stage. I can do a live stream for free. That's a stage. I can launch a podcast for free or very little investment. That's a stage. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the chance to speak. And you never know the impact that that one person will have in your life or that you'll have in their life. I've shared the story before of one of my live launches, the first year of our She Sells brand, and I was coming off of my first six-figure launch, and it happened a lot faster than I expected. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, launches are amazing. I just do this every month and I make six figures a month. Okay. So I might have had a little like stroke of I think the universe gave me a beautiful opportunity the first time I did my launch, and I was very grateful and blessed for that. And then it was either the second or the third one I did later that year. I followed the exact same process I had for the first one, and I was like, okay, this is foolproof. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna be easy. Well, what do you know? Um, I had what I thought were dismal results. I had just a few people sign up for the free training I was doing, and I was looking at it thinking, what in the world? Like, I'm doing the exact same thing. And then I started getting in my head, and then I started getting critical of the numbers, the results, and I almost canceled the whole thing. And God bless my integrator at the time, because she was like, you need to jump on a call with the woman who actually signed up for this and just see what's up. Like, do a free call with her. And so I do a free call. And that one woman, God bless this woman, and she's a dear friend and a client to this day. She ends up signing on for private coaching. I make the same amount I would have made if I had had way more people on the event, the number of people I had anticipated and that I had previously. And it was actually far easier than the lift it was going to be to do the full live launch. So I share that with you because it's not just that you may sign one private client where you make the same as you would make on 10 group coaching clients or 10, whatever you're selling. Can that be what happens? Yes. And it can also be energetic impact. It can be spiritual impact. It can be life impact that's going to come back to you financially in another way, where that one person you're speaking to, like you right now, I want you to know I am thinking about you, even if I don't know your name, even if whether we're connected and we know each other or we don't. I am thinking about you receiving this, and however many people there are listening to this, I trust that this is landing with you in the right way, and that you're here for a reason, and that this is speaking to you in the way that it is meant to. And your people, they're going to have that same experience with you. All right? One other thing I feel called to say that I wasn't planning on sharing in this episode, but I'll share it just because I think it's so important to know that there is growth along the way and that we don't land it all perfectly right off the bat. I remember one of my first paid speaking events. It was actually for an audience of several hundred financial advisors, and I got referred in, and I was the keynote speaker, and I actually got paid for it. It wasn't very much. I think it was like $3,500. But that event, I felt like I flopped. I really did, and I want to be very honest and transparent about this. It was just a weird mix of The messaging that I put together that I normally did for people didn't work very well for this group. It wasn't like it really wasn't very well received. The energy felt off. I think I felt not as like I've learned over the years how to prepare and how to prep for a talk, but I didn't feel as prepared as I would have loved to have been for that as well. And so that event, and it was, oh my gosh, it was a long time ago, but I remember walking off that stage and feeling like I had like feeling I had egg on my face. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but feeling like I had completely flopped, feeling like I had failed miserably, being so embarrassed, so humiliated. And it was probably more in my head. Like it was, it was probably worse to me than it was to anyone there. But I also like I could look at it and be like, yeah, that was probably my worst public speaking experience. And what I have learned from that and what I have learned to take from every opportunity that we get, whether we feel like we crush it and we nail it, or whether we feel like I totally flopped on that one. And I don't have those anymore, fortunately. I am grateful for that. But that was a learning experience, and you may have those along the way. Maybe you have had one. Maybe you just had one and you're like, "Oh, I'm not meant to speak." Don't let that deter you. I used that experience to say, how can I get better? How can I improve? I invested in myself in public speaking coaching. I took programs, I took courses. I said, I want to know that I can get on a stage and crush it and be confident and deliver and have the audience laughing and crying and moved and move them to action. And so I use that experience as a catalyst to get better. And so you may have experiences like that. And I think that probably everyone who you see today on a stage who you would deem a successful public speaker has probably had one or two of those. Maybe they don't like to talk about it. I don't like to talk about that because it was uncomfortable. And again, it was a long time ago, but even today as I talk about it, I feel that old feeling of discomfort and ugh from it. So you can have an experience like that and you can still achieve all of your goals. You can be wildly successful. You can be one of the top keynote speakers in your space. You can be a world renowned thought leader. And anything that you want to become excellent at, you've got to practice. You've got to have opportunities where maybe you feel like you stumble or you fall, but you've got to keep showing up for yourself. I remember having a mentor once say, like, no one becomes a five-star chef without cooking a few really disgusting meals along the way. So if we can take some of the pressure off, not that we don't have a standard of excellence, not that we don't always do our very best, not that we don't show up and perform for ourselves and for others and do the thing, but know that everything is growth. Every opportunity is growth, whether you feel like, man, I just showed up and I crushed it and I did my very best ever, or if you feel like you're coming off a bit of a maybe you're deeming it a failure. I don't really use that word for things anymore, but I've had things that felt like that. It's all growth. It's all learning. It's all okay. All right. So, with that being said, I think I've now aired all of my dirty laundry on the speaking front. So, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But again, I want to share that with you because I am a woman who loves speaking. It's my favorite way to grow. It's my favorite way to connect with people. I know that it's one of my gifts and talents, and I feel really good and confident when I do it now. And I want you to know the behind the scenes, the not so pretty parts that help me get here. All right. So if you're listening to this and you're like, all right, what would I speak on? What would I say? You can just start to reflect and say, if I were fully visible, what would I say? If I were fully visible right now, if I were to share my truth, my message with the world, what would I say? And that's where you start. And frankly, you can get a lot of help these days from AI to help you develop your keynote and your talk. That when I was writing my own talks and doing this, and I've coached and trained and worked with, I don't know how many public speakers now to help them develop their talks. That wasn't around. So it was all grunt work, brain work, manual labor. But even if you use AI to help you build out your keynote, I want it to come from your heart. You can feel a difference when you're speaking and you're in your head versus in your heart. And that is always when you're going to perform the best. That's always when you're going to connect with people the best is when you are speaking and you can feel it in your body and you are in your heart. All right. So let's talk about how to start speaking now. Number one, speak anywhere and everywhere you can, micro stages, whether it's a team meeting, whether it's a mastermind, whether it's a live stream, whether it's podcast guesting. I want you to speak anywhere and everywhere you can now. And when I look at in my own business over the past few years, where the vast majority of our clients have come from, it's been other people's stages. It's honestly been getting in front of other audiences. And then it's also my podcast and my YouTube and referrals. But there is tremendous value and benefit on you being on whatever stage you can be. All right. Number two, record shorter form videos as practice. You can think about, Instagram is my daily stage. YouTube is my daily stage. LinkedIn is my daily stage. Make your own stage. Number three, you want to get known for one thing. A lot of people will say, well, Oprah or Lewis Howes or whoever, they talk about all these different topics all the time and they do really well. Well, guess what? They spoke about one thing very specifically for a while before they became as well known as they are now to be able to talk about all the things. So you need to know, what is my one core message, my one core thing that I want to be known for. And you talk about that over and over and over again. Now, are you saying the same thing every single time? No. But do you have one consistent lens through which you see the world and one consistent message that you're sharing? Yes. I remember one of my friends and a client, and he's deceased and passed on, but John Rulin, he considered himself like a one-trick pony, and he was a wonderful speaker, wonderful human being as well. But we were working with him on his keynote and his brand years ago, and he said, "I'm a one-trick pony. Like, I go in and I deliver this incredible keynote. I do it again and again and again, and I iterate and I do the same thing." And of course, he would customize things for his audience and who he was speaking to. But I used to think, oh my gosh, I've got to create something new every single time I speak. No, become known for your one thing. What is the one thing you're going to be known for in the world? That's part of how you rise above the noise and you break through the noise as well, which is one of the biggest challenges people face in business today. So become known for your one thing. Another thing I would say, and we talk a lot in our programs and community about identity and embodiment, and that your results will never supersede your identity. So even if you don't have any speaking opportunities on your calendar right now, I want you to start pitching yourself and acting like the speaker who's already booked out, as if you already have a wait list. So just tune into, I call it waitlist energy. And I teach my clients in our coaching programs to do this. If you're selling your services, like what is the energy I would have on this sales call if I had a wait list of people waiting to work with me? I'd be leaning back. I'd be relaxed. I'd be non-committed as to whether they need to work with me or not. You practice that now before the stages are lined up, before the clients are lined up, before the opportunities are lined up. You're going to attract them in a different energy. So I want you to start thinking, vibing, feeling, walking, acting, dressing, showing up as the woman or man who is already booked out and who already has a wait list. All right. With that, let's talk about resources. Let's talk about what to do from here. And I want to just affirm you too that if this spoke to you, your message needs to be heard. You are meant to be on more stages. Again, whether it's virtual, podcasts, in person, whatever is speaking to you, I want you to really trust that and honor that and know that. And so as we close, I'll share a couple of resources for how my team and I would love to help support you in going deeper in your journey. Number one, and my producer actually asked me to share this, and I thought, oh my gosh, we haven't shared this on the podcast in a while. But I want to invite you to read the book, Permission to Be Powerful, that I co-authored with several of my clients. Oh my gosh, almost 2 years ago now. We're going to link the description. We're going to link the Amazon link here in the show notes in the description. You can also just find it on Amazon, Permission to Be Powerful. But I think it's going to give you the encouragement and maybe the boost and the oomph, the lift that you may feel like you need to go out and start pitching yourself. So that's a really easy, immediately accessible resource that you can dive into right away that's going to support you. So again, that's called Permission to Be Powerful. You can go find it on Amazon, and I want to encourage you to read that. Number two, if this is resonating and if you appreciate this message, and you would like me to come in and speak to your audience, your group, your company, I would love to chat and see how I can help support you. We're currently looking at where I'm speaking for 2026. And so you can DM me. I'm at Elyse Archer on all social, or you can email me, Elyse@ElyseArcher.com, and would love to connect with you on that. And then number three, if you are looking to expand your business, your brand, your presence, I want you to book a call with my team, ElyseArcher.com/free call. We would love to help support you and discuss and explore opportunities where we can help you amplify your business, your sales, and your brand. We've even got really cool opportunities now on the media side with a magazine where you can be featured, or with our podcast and podcast network. So you can book a call there and we'll talk about what's possible and what's available. Again, everything will be linked in the show notes. And I want to just remind you as we close out here that your message is medicine. All right. Your message is medicine. So whatever it is that is coming through you, it is coming through you because not only does it matter to you, but it matters to someone else. And there's someone who needs to hear that message specifically from you, not from me, not from Oprah or Lewis Howes, like we talked about on the show today, although they're phenomenal, from you specifically. So if you question it, if you doubt it, if you silence yourself, someone else is going to miss their breakthrough. And so the urge that you have to speak and be seen is because there is something greater than you who knows that, who knows exactly who needs to hear your message, exactly who's going to be moved by you and who is going to be benefited from your message and your experience. So take what we talked about in today's episode and implement it, deploy it, and start getting booked on stages, start speaking, share your wins with me on social. I want to hear, I want to celebrate with you. I'm at Elyse Archer, and I want to just be in the energy of celebrating you as you expand your presence and your message as well. So, as we close out, my final word to you is I want to remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Remember that your desires are green lights leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.